and welcome to this episode of Ask Amy. Today we're talking about solar panels, and not just solar panels. We've had those shows before, but we're talking specifically about the sales and the solar panel contracts. We have a special guest here today, Charles Moster of the Moster Law Firm. I reached out to you to ask you a few questions a few weeks ago, and then I said, I need to have you in for a whole conversation. So thanks for coming in.
Oh, I'm thrilled, and I really have a message to deliver to your viewers that maybe they don't want to hear. So really, I view it as a public service.
Yeah.
I'm glad to be here.
Well, I appreciate it, because when I reached out to you, how I came across you and your website was when I was looking for an attorney who knew a little something about solar panel contracts. You have like 85 cases pending.
85 live cases, many of them in court, and I've spoken to probably over 200 people that have been injured by this scam.
And so you call it a scam. Tell me why, like what you hear when people contact you.
Sure. And just by way of background, I've been a litigating attorney for over 36 years. Mm-hmm. And so when I see a scam, I know a scam. And as I said, I've spoken to over 200 people, and what's going on here is that they're approached by people in the solar industry that are subject to arrangements with financing companies, and they present a product and service which is entirely deficient and fraudulent. They claim that it's going to deliver inexpensive solar energy that will essentially replace their electric bill, and it's a total scam. It never happens. In all of the cases that I've spoken to, I've never seen one example where solar energy that's been promised and is enormously expensive to pay for has ever worked. It's really shocking every single time.
And yet it's a huge business right now. I mean, you see the ads everywhere. You see them on social media. Centerpoint told me that in the greater Houston area, I think they've connected something like a little more than 45,000 customers.
That's correct. Now, what I'll state, though, is that our law firm is a bit like a hospital. Mm-hmm. So we're seeing the worst of the worst. There probably are, although I haven't seen it among the clients that have come into my firm, the Moster Law Firm, there probably are legitimate solar purveyors out there. I have just not seen them. And I can give you a list momentarily of the solar companies that we've dealt with that I will tell everyone to stay away from. I don't care if they file a lawsuit against my law firm. Truth is a defense. And also some of the lenders that are involved. But there probably are some, but very few legitimate solar companies out there. So I'm not telling people not to go solar. I'm extremely green. I think it's a fabulous idea. Just be extraordinarily careful and never let someone in your house ever, Charles Moster is telling you that, who's uninvited, that wants to sell you solar panels. If you're listening to this report, you've just saved yourself probably $100,000.
Yeah, which is important, because let's start with when you talk about your experience, you don't have just a law firm in Houston. You've got several all across the state.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, we're in Lubbock, Midland, and then Austin, Dallas, and Houston, and we have a fairly large market in Dallas and Houston as well.
Okay, and so these cases that you're seeing all over the state, not just in Houston.
Yeah, we are, and just for the record, we're no longer taking these cases. So when Amy approached me, I have no business orientation or reason to do this report other than simply to get the word out. So my recommendation is to contact our Attorney General. Ken Paxton has been notoriously horrible in filing lawsuits against solar companies for whatever reason. He's done a couple, but very few. All around the country, attorney generals, particularly in Minnesota and actually 10 or 11 states, have been very aggressive. Not so in Texas, where our residents are being devastated by fraud everywhere. So there's really nowhere to go. If you go to your local district attorney's office, because this is criminal fraud, our clients have approached the DAs in every one of our major markets, and they won't take the cases, not because they don't want to, they don't have the resources. Yeah. They're dealing with those egregious cases that we see on news programs that you all put out, and they don't have time for it.
Well, then tell me why you said you're not taking any more cases. Why not? The money's not there? They're too hard to prosecute? What is the reason?
It's too complicated, and they're too expensive. So the business model of these fraudsters is that they're going to lock them in for 25 to 30 years on buying ridiculously senseless solar panels that don't work. Again, these are the purveyors that are coming to your door. And it could be anywhere from $100 a month to $300 a month. The cost of hiring a lawyer could be several thousand. Mm-hmm. And they're going to bleed the consumer over 30 years. So they're hoping, and it's their business model, which mostly works, that, I'll bleed them slowly and they're not going to put out a couple of $1,000s to hire a lawyer. And they're very unhappy clients. We love serving our clients and serving them well, but it's expensive. And then also, you have to be a fairly sophisticated attorney to take these cases because you have to understand the Deceptive Trade Practice Act, which you might get into, fraud, breach of contract. You're in something called arbitration. I don't want to get too technical here because my message I want to get out to people is just stay the heck away from these companies. That's it. If you can learn that, that's important. But the cases are extremely complex. Most law firms can't do it or can't afford to do it. And so it's not just a question of the money isn't there. The clients are typically very unhappy, and when you're injured, you really don't want to pay a lawyer to do it. So it's screaming out for public action, whether it's the district attorney's office to put these fraudsters in jail, which is where they need to be. This is criminal fraud, and it's RICO, racketeering, criminal and civil racketeering, which I can get into. And also, our attorney general just needs to do something. My clients tell me they've reached out, no response back, or they don't care. And I'm sorry, Ken Paxton, I know he wasn't impeached, but he has a horrific record, in my personal opinion, of taking care of the people and their problems in the state of Texas.
And so when you say that other attorneys generals in other states have taken action, you mean for things like, I mean, that's a Texas Deceptive Trade Practices Act, but for similar violations in other states, like statewide, they get a bunch of consumers.
Yeah, they absolutely have. They've particularly gone after the most predatory of all lenders. GoodLeap is out there. That's about 40% of our cases, also known as Loan Pal. They are not your pal. Okay, and they're the ones that are providing the financing dollars to effectuate the fraud. But for the ability to have a loan facility, no one would buy these panels. Who has $40,000 or $50,000 or $200,000 laying around? So the Attorney General for the state of Minnesota alleged fraud against GoodLeap, essentially, for their participation and collusion with the retailer, the person selling it, because they work together for the common objective, which I believe is to defraud the consumer. So that's how it works. But yeah, across every state, pretty much, except for Texas, they're going after these people, but not in Texas.
Well, the cases that we've come across, and I've kind of described some of those to you, the stories that we've done, were these door-to-door salespeople who are knocking on, door after door after door in neighborhoods that are not wealthy neighborhoods. And so I'm thinking, what's the MO? Like, what's the plan? Why are they going after these homeowners who seem like they don't have the expendable income?
Right. Excellent question. And that's probably about 15% of the people that we see. The other 85% are pretty well heeled. And they're going after new developments or people in nicer homes in rural areas. But they do go after people of relatively modest means. And you provided a contract that I took a look at actually out to the studio. I believe it's by Sunrun. And I looked at that contract as an attorney of many years, and it's a total fraud. In my opinion, they go after these people because it's easy to scare them. Even a sophisticated buyer would have a hard time. In fact, I had a hard time reading, and not from a legal standpoint, but it was just incredibly complex, this agreement. It's more complicated than a home agreement just to buy a solar system. So they go after these people because they don't understand what they're signing. They think they're leasing solar panels, and in fact, they're set up in a sales structure. When you read the agreement, it looks like you can get out of it at any time, but you can't. You can only get out of it after 25 years. Now, I'm 69. I hope I can live another 25 years. But if I sign that agreement, it would probably extend beyond my life expectancy, which happens with a lot of these, particularly older people that are buying these contracts. So you can get out of the contract, after 25 years.
Right.
Okay. And they said no obligation if you get out of it under 25 years, but you have to read Section 25, 5, subpoint 3, which I looked at, and it said that you're in default unless you pay for it. If you get out of the contract before it's over, so if you want to get out of it before 25 years, you have to do two things or you're in default. You pay for the full system, so you're not leasing it anymore.
Right.
Or second, the person who buys your house assumes this horrible obligation. Well, good luck on that.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, they will come after you. And they threaten you with foreclosure, which is illegal under Texas law. I had a woman who was in tears who came to my office, who thought she was leasing one of these systems. She came from California. They actually told her it was free, because in California it is, so they misrepresented the facts, and she made $10 an hour, worked her tail off, and she doesn't know how she was ever approved and is stuck.
Right.
So they go after these people, even though they have modest means, because they'll take their money forever and they'll work out deals with them most likely, but the systems cost basically nothing. And they're making money on them, and they're scaring them because they don't have sophistication.
Okay, I know, Charles, that we want to get more into that in detail, and I know every contract is different, but I kind of want to talk to you about some of the details in the contract that I sent you. Both of the consumers that we've done stories with were older. One of them passed away 4 months after she signed it. The other one, they would have been 100. They would have been, by the time that 25 years was up. So I think that's very important to kind of go over some of those details. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back to this episode of Ask Amy. Today we're talking about solar panels and solar panel contracts with Charles Moster. He's an attorney, and you've taken on a lot of these cases dealing with unhappy homeowners who sign up for solar panels and then realize this isn't what I was told I was buying or signing up for. I wanted to start from the moment that somebody knocks on your door.
Okay. Well, I'll answer the question, but if anyone knocks on your door and they say they're from a solar company, don't let them in. Okay? Do not let them in. And if I can get that message across, I've really accomplished my public service objective here. But this is what happens, and I say it every single time. Over 200 people I've spoken to, we represent, like I said, over 80 cases plus. Mm-hmm. It's always the same, and it sounds like I have ESP. It's always the same shtick.
Because people are like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what happened to me.
Exactly. Okay, they'll knock on your door. You're a nice person. You'll let them in. Don't let them in. Okay. They come in, and they say, we're from a solar company. It could be from any number of companies. It could be from Sunrun. It can be from other companies as well that are engaged in this, and I'll go over a list of it later. But they come in. They talk about how wonderful solar panel is. Solar panels, wonderful, almost free electricity, and they're going to be able to save you close to 100% of your current electric bill, if not 100% of your current electric bill. And it's a breeze. They put it on. They turn it on. There are no interconnection problems typically. And then you're not only going to save 100% of your electric bill, you'll have money left over because the actual energy company will sell you back energy that they buy from you. So you'll actually make money on the system. What they do is they have this whole presentation on their iPad. Mm-hmm. So they start getting you involved in their electronic presentation. They do a fabulous job. These people must be trained actors. And mostly men, although I'm seeing more women that are involved in it right now. And they have graphics come up. It's somewhat mesmerizing. They'll ask you what your current electric bill is, and most people are very unhappy about their electric bill. Right. They'll input all the information. Almost like you're at a car dealership, and all of a sudden these charts will come up, pie charts and tables, and it'll show you how much you're paying on your electric bill every single month. And then they'll plug in information about the number of solar panels that will reduce your electric bill magically to zero. And they do that as well. They might tell you need 20 panels, 34 panels. It has to do with the size of your roof. And for them, the larger roof you have, that means the more income you have, the more they can charge you. Okay. They run the systems. It looks like it's very particular to your needs. And they say, we're going to be able to save you 100%. You're going to save $200 a month. You're going to save $300 a month, et cetera. But guess what? We just so happen to have a lender that's going to lend to you at an incredibly low rate. Many times it's GoodLeap. Keep that name in mind. I don't think personally they're very good. I have over 40 cases, many in litigation against GoodLeap. They're also known as Loan Pal, Not Your Pal. Sunovo is another lender. There are lenders across the country that unfortunately have gotten involved in it. But what they do is they give you a great introductory rate. So it seems like all you have to do is pay a relatively low rate on a loan, and then you're actually going to be saving money. So the next thing that happens is that they pop open a electronic contract. You sign it without really reading it because it's overly complex. I just looked at one on the way to the studio, which was like 45, 50 pages long, which I look at typically, and it's fairly complex even for me. So all you do is go, yes, 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 yes. You're signing it. Many times they'll tell you it's a loan application. In fact, it's an actual agreement to purchase the solar panels.
It's hard to be careful what you're signing when they're presenting a tablet or a small tablet or a phone in front of you to read this and sign here or check here.
Sure. Particularly if you present it to elderly people who have trouble seeing.
Right.
You present it to people where English is not their foreign language. And a lot of times they say, oh, we have a special Hispanic program. I've heard that one, which is a total lie. I've basically heard it all. And you sign it. And then you're excited because you have this brand new system. Oh, and they tell you that it's not going to damage your roof as well, which is a total lie. And you're going to get a sales rebate. I forgot to tell you that. A tax refund, which is totally a lie. Then the next thing that happens is on your computer, either at that moment or within the next couple of hours, you get a loan agreement from the lender, and you sign that digitally on DocuSign, and then you're locked in.
Okay.
And that's how you get involved in it.
So I know we glazed over real quick. You said the tax credit, and you said, and that's a lie. Some people could get that tax credit, right?
They could.
Yeah.
They could. But it's on a system that doesn't work. So it's a legitimate tax credit. But again, as you were saying earlier, Amy, there are maybe 10 or 25,000 legitimate systems out there, not the ones that I see.
Right.
And so you want to stay away from those, but you can get a tax credit. That's correct.
What I found interesting about these contracts, and one that I asked you to look at, is these people who signed them, they had okay credit, but they don't remember signing a credit application. I mean, it's like they're being signed up for these things, and the people are not quite realizing what you're getting into with the iPad present. I mean, one couple was told that these solar panels are paid for with a free government grant. So they're thinking for the consent to put them on the home. They didn't realize, they say they were signing to agree to pay for 25 years.
Yeah, that's precisely correct. They have no idea what the terms are when they sign it. They're signing based on the presentation, which is false, that they're going to save all this money, and the signing of the agreement is just an afterthought. And then in a number of our cases, actually, the person who's actually selling it, the salesperson, is actually directing them what to sign digitally, or actually digitally signing that for them. We've also had incidents of forgery. We've seen that happen. But basically, the clients, even more sophisticated, wonderfully educated people, have no idea what the terms are. They're very, very complex, and they can't enter into these things voluntarily, so it's a total fraud. But the key issue here is that it's fraud because there are representations that are made. So a fraud in Texas is really simple. There's a representation that's made, it's false, you rely on it, and you're damaged. So they're making a representation at the very beginning that you're going to save all of this money. The loan is not going to cost you a lot more. In fact, if you pay the loan that they're providing to buy the system, it'll be less than actually what you spent previously on electricity. And all of these representations, you could put it on the roof, it won't damage the roof, they'll be there for you. It's a total lie. And every single case I've ever seen, and this is important, I have never seen a single case where the solar system has ever worked. Now that's shocking.
Wow.
Never. It doesn't work.
Worked as advertised?
Doesn't work at all. Okay, and so, well, actually, let me qualify that. Okay. There are instances where it's never connected and it doesn't work. Okay. There are instances where it's connected, and I have 3 of these cases where it actually administered electric shocks to our clients. One had an electric fire. And we actually have a personal injury case dealing with someone that had an electric fire that injured his wife against one of the companies. So that actually happened. But in most of the instances, when it doesn't work, it's not producing the electricity that was claimed. So they said that at 100% of the utilization of the system, you will save 100% on your electric bill. But it has to be working at 100% capability. It's typically less than 15 or 20%. So it maybe can generate enough electricity for your refrigerator, but not the whole house.
So people
it never
still
works.
have this electric bill, and then now they have the bill for the solar panels.
And that's the basis for the fraud. You're paying double. Who in their right mind would spend upwards to anywhere from $50,000 to, I've had $200,000 on a big home over 25 years for a system that doesn't work when you're still saddled with your previous electric bill. So now you're just paying for a loan, and therein lies the fraud with the lenders that are involved with this thing. So it's not just a fraud that's perpetrated by the solar retailers. That's absolute. I call that A to B fraud because these guys know absolutely that it's a total fraud. But the lenders, I believe, are involved in it as well.
Okay, lots more to discuss. We're going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk more about these contracts and about the third-party companies, because a lot of times when those people knock on your door, the door-to-door salespeople are not, they're representing the solar panel company, but they're not the same company putting the solar panels on your house. We'll be right back. Welcome back to this episode about solar panel contracts. Our guest is Charles Moster. So you said you've got about 85 cases right now pending, lawsuits against solar panel companies and the lenders. So you've seen what you say is fraud, really, among all of these companies. Can you kind of talk about some of the ones that you see it most common in our area?
Yeah, sure. And we have over 85 cases. Not all of them are in litigation, but they're all getting very close to litigation. And the cases I primarily see are cases of people that are typically upper middle class income, usually in nicer neighborhoods, meaning recent developments that have been constructed with lovely roofs that are going to get destroyed by these people, these jackals that put on these systems and destroy the roofs. So they have the financial wherewithal actually to pay these loans, but they're getting absolutely nothing for it. I mean, who would give a loan to someone for anywhere from $40,000 to $180,000 and get nothing in return? Moreover, they're getting liens typically, which is a charge against your property like a mortgage for nothing at all. And you can't sell your house until you get rid of the lien. So there are people that are typically upper middle class that we see at our law firm. Again, we're not taking these cases anymore, so you'll have to find another law firm that's taking these cases. I don't know if there are any others. So try to get Ken Paxton to take these cases or the district attorney's office to prosecute them. But we see a lot of cases in Houston where people are devastated.
Right. And so when it comes to, I mean, you know, people can make choices for themselves, obviously. You're saying you don't really think that these panels work as advertised for anybody, but if you are interested in them, we've told consumers before, don't just go with somebody who knocks on your door and say, oh yeah, these are your monthly payments. I mean, anybody can say, how much is the total system? I mean, how much am I actually paying? And you could go and see if you can get a loan yourself if you're really interested in it.
Yeah, that's again, I apologize for giving anyone a headache for being repetitive here. And I'm happy to come here and on Amy's show first thing on Monday morning. But what I want to say is don't ever let anyone in your house on a promotion of any kind or presentation to get solar panels. It will go bad. I've spoken to over 200 people, or approximately. I've never seen a case work. And of those that have joined the firm, every case is the same. The systems don't only not work as advertised, they don't work. And by that I mean that you buy the whole system, it never produces the amount of electricity as advertised to reduce your electric bill one iota. You may pay suddenly $200 a month plus your prior electric bill and save, hey, a whopping $20, okay? Yeah. So I'm not saying that solar energy is a bad thing. I love solar energy. It's part of our practice. We do alternative energy in addition to oil and gas. I'm a Texas attorney. I have nothing against oil and gas, but I'm into green energy. So go find a legitimate solar panel company, but it's not going to be the companies that come to your door ever.
All right. Pretty strong words there. You said a couple of common things that you see are you have a case where somebody's roof was damaged when they put the solar panels on, and that's something that people usually don't think about.
Right. Yeah. Well, they tell you it's easy. They're just going to put the panels on, etc. In about 70% of our cases, these people who put I was going to use a different word, but a word you could put on the air, but I won't say it. When they nail the system into your roof, they actually put holes in the roof, particularly brand new roofs, even if they're tin roofs. And you have the first rainstorm, which we get, in Houston, a lot of rain, and we're in 5 markets around the entire state. You get water infiltration. People are shocked. It goes right into your living room, wherever it's installed, and ultimately it causes water infiltration and mold. And I have a couple of cases where there's been black mold personal injury that we have, which is very difficult to assert. So that's another story under Texas law, very, very difficult to assert. But people are actually getting physically injured, not just economically injured by these people. And then the one thing I forgot to mention is if you try to get back to these people after they take your money, they disappear. You won't find them. And that's the typical thing that you hear. And the last thing is that they go into your house and then disappear. These folks are like roaches. I don't know what else to say. They create a new company every single time. So I can give you a list of companies to avoid, but any company that, again, presents it that way, avoid them at all costs. Very, very easy to create an LLC in Texas. I could do it in about 6 minutes. I could have created probably 5 during the time of this interview. So they create a company, they disappear, they create another one. It's a criminal enterprise.
Yeah. Charles, I appreciate you coming on today. We're going to put a link to his law firm, but like you said, it's very difficult to find an attorney to represent you in these cases. You're not taking new solar cases, but I do appreciate you coming on and explaining sort of your knowledge and what people should know as they consider this purchase.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity. And I won't say my message again. Everybody got it. That's why I came on the show.
Don't let them inside.
Yeah, don't let them in.
All right. Have a great day.
Okay.
Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Amy.